Speed Channel welcomes you to Atlanta Motor Speedway with the fastest speeds in NASCAR about to be tested tonight in Nextel Cup Series qualifying for Sunday's Golden Corral 500. Tuesday, a shakeup in the Nextel Cup point standings due to post-race penalties. Dropped race winner Jimmy Johnson from first to second behind Kurt Busch. Greg Biffle, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards complete the top 5. And looking further down, Kevin Harvick dropped from 8th through 10th due to a penalty for a post-qualifying fuel cell infraction. But that's history. That was last weekend. What happens in Vegas? Well, maybe it stays in Vegas. Because here we go in the impound style format where the cars practice today, qualify tonight, and nobody will touch them until it's race time on Sunday. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip. There are 15 drivers here who need to time their way in, Darrell, and some of them were very quick in practice. We can see some real surprise names at the top of the heap tonight.
Yeah, we could. And that's the thing about this impound procedure that is kind of confusing, I think. You know, guys that are in the race, they're going to work on race setup. Guys that have got to get in the race, they're going to go out there with a qualifying setup because that's their first race is to get in tonight. So there's things about the impound procedure that I like. I don't necessarily like qualifying tonight. We're going to race on Sunday afternoon, but we're tweaking it as we go.
Well, speaking of tweaking, Larry, you practiced in the daylight. You're going to qualify at night with a setup on which you have to race in temperatures that could be 10 or 20 degrees warmer on Sunday. What do you do?
Well, I saw more scrambling going on in that garage area during those 2 one-hour practices, because if there's any place we go where the qualifying setup differs a ton from the race setup, it's here at Atlanta, Georgia. The speeds are going to be quicker because the track's cooler tonight. These guys are going to be driving off in the corner at over 190 miles per hour. I think this is the real test for that shorter rear spoiler. I think we're going to see a lot of cars loose because they have them set up loose to race on Sunday, and I think we're going to see a lot of cars as they travel off in these corners, the sparks fly, and that could get a lot of those cars in trouble as well, bottoming out.
Well, it'll be exciting, and the man to watch, as usual, is the Rocket. Ryan Newman was quick in the first practice today, and his qualifying record here is stellar. In the 5 races for which they have qualified at Atlanta, he has 1 second and 4 straight poles, a Cup record. Here's Dick Berggren.
Yeah, and even in the Busch Series, Ryan Newman started on the front row. Now, Ryan, when you were growing up, didn't your parents talk to you about sharing? You know, if you're going to eat candy, you got to share it with the other kids. You don't seem to be sharing very well here at Atlanta. You're on the front row all the time. Are you going to get on the front row tonight, or you're going to share?
We're going to try not to share. Our all-tell Dodge is really good off the truck. Didn't get a number posted up like we wanted to in the second practice, but I don't know what our draw is going to be like here either as far as going out third. So we'll have to see. I think we have a shot at it for sure.
Indeed, and everybody is going to be shooting at Ryan Newman, trying to beat him to the pole tonight.
Dick, one driver who's already been on the pole here in Atlanta in the past is Joe Nemechek. One of his 8 career poles came here in 1999. You roll off night now. Is that a hindrance, or does it really matter now because the temperature's cool and it'll probably be this way for the rest of the night, not dropping a whole lot more?
Yeah, I don't know tonight. I don't think it's going to be a disadvantage. I think it should be pretty equal. You know, in the past here, later in qualifying, we used to have the dew come in and get on the racetrack and make it a little slippery. But my Centrex Chevy is running good. You know, the same car we had at California, we're expecting to run good. We've been good in practice. This is a very, very fast place, and I think everybody's struggling just a little bit trying to get the qualifying set up once you're good in race trim, trying to get the cars tight enough, and that seems like what everybody's struggling with, trying to be tight enough so you don't spin out qualifying.
His best start came this year in this race car, 4th at Fontana. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. 35 drivers are safely in the field due to 2004 car owner points. We use those for 1 more week. Here are the 15 drivers that are looking for the 8 positions that will be decided in tonight's time trials. One of those, Bill Elliott, is eligible for the Champions Provisional if needed. Speed Channel coverage of NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from Atlanta Motor Speedway is brought to you by Right Guard. Hit the power stripe from Right Guard right to the end of the day. Advance Auto Parts, for the best parts, people, and price. We're ready in advance. And Honda Generators, the power of choice.
Hey, red sky at night, sailor's delight. Blue sky in the morning, sailor take warning.
Here's a look at the practice chart, and we've been keeping for you long runs, the best average of 20 consecutive laps. And look at the Roush cars right at the top of that list, and the MB2 MBV cars. Nemechek and Riggs right with them. Now, how do those drivers fill in the fastest individual lap of practice? There they are in yellow. Now, Jason Leffler and Bill Elliott both have to time their way into this show. All the other drivers listed there are safely in the field.
So in other words, Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, essentially they're fast for one lap, and they're fast on a 20-lap run over the course of a 20-lap run. And, of course, not really surprised. Carl Edwards finished third here in the fall race last year. Mark Martin all but won the race till the fresher tires on Jimmy Johnson prevailed.
You know, the thing about it is, a Ford has only won one race here out of the last 15 races.
Wow.
And you know who it was? Kurt Busch.
And this used to be a Ford racetrack before it was reconfigured. Last week in Las Vegas, a couple of fellas needing a boost in the points had their race end early. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got into the back of Brian Vickers, and the wreck swept up Bobby Labonte. All three knocked out of the race. Ricky Rudd's day ruined as well. Dick Berggren is with Brian Vickers.
Well, Brian was pretty upset last week, but look at this guy standing around getting ready to qualify, listening to tunes. What are you listening to?
OAR.
What is LAR?
OAR.
OAR.
Of a Revolution is what it stands for. It's a band. They're awesome. Ricky was the one that put me on them, and I listen to them every once in a while. I just kind of mellow, just chill out.
You want to sing a little bit for us?
No.
Does this calm you down or get you revved up to go qualify?
Just kick back, you know, relax. Right now, if we get the pole, great, but we've got a really good race car. So that's why I'm listening to OAR, not M&M. I'm trying to stay calm. That's what Lance wants. Just a good, solid lap, a good top 10, top 5 start, and we'll have an awesome race car.
Well, he looks relaxed, but he is really focused, Mike.
Brian Vickers 11th in the final practice.
But you know what? I'm a big, you know, I love music, and music is soothing, and music can take that edge off and kind of get you in that mood to go out there and run 190 miles an hour around this joint. Plus, you think about that 25 car, Larry. That car has never run badly here, no matter who's working on it or who's driving it.
So now, wait a second. If you had an iPod back then, what would you have been listening to before you climbed in the car?
Oh, I'd have probably been listening to George Jones.
That's what I thought you'd say. I didn't think it would be OAR or whoever it was.
I'd have been listening to some country music, I guarantee you.
Our producer, Neil Goldberg, gets bonus points. He actually has that CD.
Yeah. I know no O-R-E or whatever it is.
I'd be willing to bet our girls listen to it.
Oh, yeah, they know all about it. I called Jessica, and she know every song on the album.
Randy LaJoie, driving for Chris Edwards, looking to make his first Atlanta start since 1995 in the spring race when he drove here for Bill Davis.
As you saw on the graphic a while ago, he's one of the drivers attempting double duty. Now, in the 2 practices earlier today, Randy was 46th, quickest in the first one, and in the second, he was 45th.
Randy had a good run last week in the Busch race out in Las Vegas. I was pretty impressed with his run out there. And, you know, that's always momentum building for whatever you do next. And right now, that's qualified Atlanta.
Randy's first Cup start came here in a car engineered by Bob Johnson in 1985. First lap 30.05 for Randy, and that is 6.5 tenths better than what he practiced.
Yeah, the car's a little nervous. It's moving around quite a bit. Down into turn 1, got through those bumps, did a little bobble, and off of turn 2 there. So got to believe this lap may not be quite as good.
But that's the thing, Darrell. I mean, you talked about over 190 miles an hour off in the corner. This is only a 1.5 mile racetrack, and this racetrack is rough. The car's moving around even on the straightaways. 29.75. I'm going to tell you what, that's a pretty good lap.
No, that's a great lap. That moving around was because he's going faster.
That's got an in-the-show look to it. If he had posted that lap this afternoon in practice, he would have been 12th fastest.
That's a good lap, of course. As we've been talking, though, the racetrack should be a little quicker tonight, a little more grip, track temperature a little cooler.
Plus, he can give up a little bit for the race, because he's got to get in the show. So got to believe he's probably closer to a qualifying setup than some of these cats that are already in the race.
Right. For the 15 drivers we showed you before, there is no race unless you make the race. Jamie McMurray, the Haviland Dodge, rebounded from a Daytona DNF to 4th at California and 15th last week.
And you see all that tape on the windshield. Now, that's not to keep the moon out of his eyes. That's to keep the sun out of his eyes come Sunday, because once these cars are done tonight, they're covered up and you can't do anything to them until Sunday morning.
In fact, some teams will fly their crews home tonight back to Charlotte, because effectively tomorrow is a day off.
Something that essentially guys do not get, and that's a Saturday at home.
Well, I don't know. You go home, all you do is sit around and worry about the race car. So good grief, look at that lap.
29:07 for Jamie McMurray. And he was way down the practice chart, 44th. So that is a pickup of a second and a half.
And again, I think it's because he knows he's in the show, and Donnie Wingo, his crew chief, and him decided today to mainly work on race setup, and he knows pretty much that the fast lap was that first lap.
Well, they found the difference between race setup and qualifying trim. Jamie McMurray cracks off a good lap. Time for Friday night fireworks. Here comes the rocket. Ryan Newman, 4 poles. 1 outside pole in the 5 qualifying attempts he's made here.
See, I don't think this format bothers him at all, because you think about that car, Larry, week in and week out, always on the pole, but sometimes they seem to miss it a tad for the whoa, he got a little loose right there.
He did get a little bit loose, but this looks like this is going to be an awfully good lap. You see right there, she's pretty solid. It's not even bumping around right there. 197 miles per hour, and that's at the end of the shortest straightaway.
Boy, that thing is dancing around too. I mean, he is handling that. He's manhandling that baby.
I believe this is going to be
probably when you see how fast it is, you'll know why. Golly gee, 40. Look at that, 28-48. 194 miles an hour.
And 199 off into turn 1.
Now, we said that he had the Nextel Cup record at 4 straight poles. That is that the active record? It is. He's looking to become the first 5 straight pole winner since Bill Elliott won 6 straight at Talladega from 85 to 87.
I believe this lap may be a little bit quicker than 28-48. 28-47, just a little bit.
Yep.
Well, it was quicker. You were right. Looked quicker.
I know it probably felt quicker.
You call it whatever you want. That's damn fast.
It is. That's very fast.
In this team every week, I mean, already in 2005, should this be a top 10 start, and I'm going to anticipate it will be, that would be 4 top 10 starts this year.
Okay, now, of course, the all-time consecutive pole record, David Pearson at Charlotte. 14.
14, yeah.
Here's Matt.
And a big pickup by Jimmy McMurray. You got to be pleased with that lap.
Yeah, we didn't make a qualifying run. We actually struggled a little bit this morning in race trim, and I told Donnie, let's just keep working on race setup. So kind of just threw something out of there with some air pressure and stuff, and really I think that's about my best lap here, even when we try to make it in qualifying trim. So that should be good for us. Just have to hope we're good in the race.
And the 25 car Brian Vickers on the clock.
All right, let me try this one more time. David Pearson won 11 straight poles at Charlotte Motor Speedway, 14 total. However many, that's
when you get up to that many, that's pretty hard to comprehend.
That's a lot. So here's the GMAC, Dytech.com Chevy out of Hendrick Motorsports for Brian Vickers, who had a short day in Las Vegas.
This car looks good, Mike. It's got a good look to it going around the racetrack.
Good run, 29.007.
And these guys are in the mid 170s. What little bit they are off the throttle in the middle of the corner.
That's a pickup of 3/4 of a second from practice for Vickers.
And being comfortable here is how you go fast. And a race setup is actually a lot more comfortable than what a qualifying setup would be. So I believe the driver can be a more aggressive and get a better lap than what they think he's going to get.
Second lap is only 2/100ths shy of the first. So it's Ryan Newman, Brian Vickers, Jamie McMurray, and Randy LaJoie. Welcome back to Atlanta. Big crowd on hand for Georgia Power qualifying night. as favorite son Bill Elliott. Excuse me. He's in this race. That's not him.
For a number of years, it was that car number.
See, I'm still on this pole record thing, and there's Elliott with 6 in a row at Talladega. Casey Kane in the Ray Evernham Dodge. What I was thinking of is what makes Pearson's record all that more remarkable at Charlotte. Weren't many of those the average of 4 consecutive laps, not a single lap qualifying run. They qualified at Charlotte like they did in Indy with a 4-lap average or total.
Used to take a while to qualify there.
Pretty good lap there for Mr. Kane. 28.89, 191 miles an hour.
Yeah, he picked up almost a second and a half from the second practice. Now, he was a little quicker than that in the first practice earlier today, but that's still quite a pickup.
Well, Larry, I don't think that's all that surprising when you think that they practice the way they're going to race, and then they do the tweaks that they're going to do to qualify. So you're going to pick up quite a bit.
The biggest thing about Casey Kane, Ray Evernham, Tommy Baldwin, they just want a good run here because, Mike, you talked earlier, these guys, they're not even in the top 35 in points right now.
And here's Matt with Ryan Newman.
Newman sets the early benchmark for everybody to shoot for. So on the Newman scale of being on the edge, what was that, a 4 or 5 or maybe a 7?
It was on edge for sure. The car wasn't perfectly straight, but you know, it's a great lap. I'm pretty sure that'll be a top 5 qualifying effort, and just you know, happy to have a fast car with our all-tell Dodge. It'd be nice to be on the pole, but you never know what this racetrack's going to be like as it gets cooler tonight.
Well, you saw at the beginning of our show the run that he has had here, a very impressive streak of starting on the front row. To Dr. Dick.
With 19-year-old Kyle Busch, who scored a very impressive second-place finish last week. Week before, he won the pole, as a matter of fact. How good's this car? You got a chance at the pole tonight?
Ryan Newman, holy cow. But, I don't know. We're going to go ahead and give it a good shot. You know, I think we got a good place probably for a top 5, top 10 starting position, which would be good enough for Sunday. It's a brand new car. We just brought it out this week. All the guys down at the shop and everybody here at Kellogg's and Hendrick Motorsports have done an awesome job for me. So we're going to go out there and have some fun, put her in the show, and look forward to Sunday.
How close to wide open all the way around will you go?
I guess if I hold it wide open, I'll have a good shot for the pole.
Can you?
I'll try.
Good luck.
There's a great story about that as Mike Bliss comes out in the Net Zero Best Buy car. A famous race driver who shall remain nameless was asked by a young Buddy Baker, Can you hold it on the floor all the way around here? He said, sure you can. And after Buddy had crashed the car on his qualifying lap, he came back to that driver and he said, you told me you could hold it all the way down around here. He says, I said you couldn't. Mike Bliss is 5th with a lap of 29.15. Gene Haas Chevrolet. Welcome back to Atlanta, where the USmilitary.com Chevrolet Sam Barrett, which had a practice spin after losing a lower radiator hose earlier today, but did not hit anything. And now he's out trying to make a lap to best his first of 30.04.
And it only puts him 7th, of course, out of the 7 cars that is qualified. And Stanton and his team, they're trying to make their first Nextel Cup race this year. They missed the first 3 races, close on a couple, but I believe he's going to have to pick it up. I believe you're going to have to run. We thought that 29.75 by Randy LaJoie was going to be pretty solid, but I think you're going to have to run in the mid-29s possibly, at least, to be halfway safe.
Yeah, when you look at the, you know, they're in the low 29s, everybody else is. Looks like that's about the break point, right around a 29.15.
Monday through Thursday nights here on Speed, a new NASCAR show. More than just news, your all-access pass to the hottest sport in the country. Join Ralph, Krista, and the whole gang for NASCAR Nation, 7 p.m. Here's Matt with the 3rd fastest driver so far.
Twice in his Nextel Cup career, he started in the first 2 rolls. Do you think that's going to hold up for another good, you know, top 5 start here?
I think it'll be a good start. I'm hoping for a top 5. It'll be in the top 10 probably. We just really focused so much on the race setup that when we went to qualifying trim, it just wasn't that good. But I feel like we'll have a good starting spot.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thank you.
Jimmy Spencer, one of 2 triple-duty drivers here in the U.S. Micro Dodge. Mr. Excitement has 5 top 10 Atlanta starts. Going to run the truck race tonight, and hopefully the Busch race tomorrow.
If he runs all 3 races this weekend, he'll run 658 laps, 1,012 miles if he completes all the miles and all the laps.
And that's just in the race. That don't include all the practice laps.
Right.
This is looking pretty good. Now this is a car that has to time into the field.
And it wobbled a little bit there, but still, that's not a bad first lap.
As far as I know, US Micro is going to support this car here and at Bristol in a couple of weeks. Jimmy will race there, and there's nothing more exciting than Jimmy Spencer at Bristol.
Yeah, there's a whole field full of Jimmy Spencers when we get to Bristol.
That 29.23, that's...
I like that.
Okay, and right now he's the fastest of the guys that they have to qualify into the show.
And he was third fastest of those in the final practice, so we'll see how that sorts out. Dick?
You like drama? You like excitement? Try Kurt Busch. First time he ever came here in an Nextel Cup car was in the fall of 2001. Failed to qualify, got mad, came back in the fall of 2002 and won the race. What do you got for him tonight?
Had the shares of highs and lows here at Atlanta, and this is a fast racetrack. And I've got a good Sharpie Ford underneath me, and I'm always proud to drive Jimmy Fenning's stuff. We'll see what we get. I mean, tonight's tonight, but we're geared up more for race trim. I don't know if we can go as fast as the other guys have gone so far.
Well, we're about to see. Thanks.
Had a great homecoming last week, almost as good as his little brother.
As good as Roush is at Vegas. If you look at Joe Gibbs and the Hendrick group, 15 of the last 32 races have been won by those 2 teams, by Hendrick and by Gibbs. 15 of the last 32. Wow. So, I mean, we had the house of Roush last week. Atlanta is home for Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs.
Speaking of Hendrick Motorsports, remember Joe Nemechek in the 01 car, he has Hendrick power under the hood of that car. He'll go to 3rd quickest for that first lap, 28.99, and that's a pickup of a second from what he ran earlier today in the final practice.
Yeah, I mean, when Randy LaJoie picked up 9/10, we were pretty astounded, said that's safe. 1 second pickup here tonight under these conditions is just barely going to get somebody's attention.
Pretty amazed, though, even on that second lap, you can see the car start to lose grip. You could see him really having to play with the throttle on that second lap, and basically the same, identical.
Oh, you did it again, Darrell. He was a 1,000th of a second faster.
Well, it looked better.
Back in the glory days of his career, now 63-year-old Morgan Shepherd won 3 of his 4 Cup victories at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. But tonight, his racing with Jesus Dodge is 10th of 10 with a lap of 30.22.
See, this is a team right here, OTIDE, that after last week having a great run like they did, I think the morale has picked up quite a bit on this little operation.
What, she's looking pretty sporty right here.
Oh, yeah,
only 33rd quickest in both practices. Again, I think a team that maybe worked on race setup. This is going to be a great run. As you said, Darrell, this team just keeps getting stronger and stronger.
Jumps right up there to second.
28.60.
He had a good test here, and they got a little steam on the hood now. I think if they stick with this program, Harold Holly keeps getting the cars better. Bobby Jr. gets a little more confidence. Look out.
Where are they getting their engines now? They shut down their in-house program, did they not? Okay.
Yeah, I talked to Harold Holly today, and he says 2 things he thinks that's making a difference. One, now they're consistently running Richard Childress engines, but this is another brand new car. 4 races this year, 4 brand new cars for Bobby in this 32 team.
Hamilton coming off a career best 11th place finish at Las Vegas in 34 starts. He's currently second. Here's Matt.
Casey Kane had 2 solid runs here last year, a 3rd and a 5th. And you were just comparing your qualifying lap with Joe Nemechek's. Were you 2 similar?
Yeah, we were pretty similar. I started sliding it back a little bit through the center, and I said, I've had enough crashes lately. I need to just keep the car in the track, and it was. That was a great run for what we've been doing lately. We had to thank everybody at Dodge and Siemens, Stanley, McDonald's, everybody that's still supporting us. We haven't had too good of a start here.
So what's up with the facial hair? I'm surprised you could even grow facial hair.
Well, I told a buddy out in
got a crash.
Busch has wadded one up.
And that was, he was not even on his lap
to
yet.
get the green.
He just had left pit road.
Well, he said if he could hold it all wide open all the way around, he'd have a shot at the pole.
And you,
hard lick right there.
And you know the thing about it, Darrell, with most of these laps coming on the first lap, you know they really try to go through 3 and 4 hard on that come to get the green lap.
Your get up to speed lap is very, very critical. Leaving a pit road and hustling. The crew chief will be on that radio saying, hustle, hustle. He may have just overdone a little bit there. Tires didn't have enough heat in them.
All right, let's show you what happened here as Kyle moving around in the car looks to be okay.
This thing gets out money pretty early. She loose right there.
You could see the wheels turn back to the right, and just as he turned it off in the corner, watch this lick here. This is a hard lick.
Despite the safer barrier. Let's show you,
this. Last year, a couple of times, he had problems qualifying. If you remember, I think Charlotte, Texas. That car gets out money him before he even gets to the turn.
He was still in the throttle when that thing broke.
Yeah, she just started around. I mean, it was way, way too loose.
But you know, you heard in our interview with Joe Nemechek is these guys, they're on the edge because this is a race setup, and the car's just loose.
That car, he wasn't even turning. What caused that car to rotate so quickly?
It's a loose.
Oh.
It's a bad loose. That's where you start thinking about turning. The car thought of it before he did.
Kyle Busch dejected but okay after a crash on his warm-up lap. Kyle Busch will go to a backup car after crashing entering turn 3 on the warm-up lap for his qualifying pass. Officially, he'll be a did not start. Here's another look and listen.
Couple of things I noticed there. First of all, the sticker's not even off the left rear tire yet. So, you know, if he'd have moved the car around a little bit going down the back straightaway, might have gotten a little more heat in that the left side tires. And the car just turned before he was ready. I mean, the thing it turned all by itself.
Now, this is an impound race, and I know after Dave Blaney crashed at Fontana a couple of 3 weeks ago qualifying, I received a lot of email questions. So how does NASCAR handle this? Well, these guys will be able to work on this race car, prepare it. They feel like they've already been penalized since they're having to go to a backup car to the rear of the field.
So while the track is being cleaned up, we'll remind you that Fox FX and Speed Channel coverage of NASCAR continues next with the Craftsman Truck Series right here on Speed. Tomorrow, Busch Series qualifying on Speed, followed by the Busch Series race in the Aaron's 312. You'll see that on FX. Sunday, start right here on Speed Channel for NASCAR this morning. Then join us on Fox for the Golden Corral 500 presented by M3 Power. And wrap up your NASCAR weekend with NASCAR Victory Lane right here on Speed Sunday night. Qualifying continues after this. Welcome back to Hotlanta on a very cool March evening. Mike Wallace in the Morgan McClure Lucas Oil number 4 needs to put her number up on the board to get in the show. And 29.411. Whoa, big slide there. That just might do it.
Yeah, it's not a bad lap considering, you know, what he's got to do to get the thing in the show.
And this qualifying run was strictly for that, just to get into the show, because if they make the show and qualify, they will have to go to the rear of the field because they had engine problems, had to change the engine earlier today.
Matt is with the second fastest qualifier so far.
Bobby Hamilton Jr. qualified 16th in Las Vegas. Larry Mack talked earlier that you've got the Childress Power, new race car. Your package finally coming together for you, Bobby?
So far. You know, after the Vegas run, it's kind of like we just sat down and had a meeting and said, let's just build this thing one block at a time. Vegas was a block. Atlanta qualifying night's a block. Start Sunday with a decent, with a decent starting spot. Hopefully be in top 15. But overall, man, this is the grip. I've never been that fast. I went down the back straight away. I was like, ah! crowd just jazzed up about it because it was just incredible, the speed, you know, and I didn't think it was going to be that quick. But overall, the tie down in car was great. Super 8 motels. Everybody just came on board, and I kept telling them, please just stay with us. We'll turn this tail around, try to get you back in victory lane, and we keep doing this progression every week. We'll be okay.
You'll be watching the Inheritance later tonight.
Inheritance. We got to get trophies, Inheritance. He's fired up. He's been keeping me fired up with all the bad runs and everything. But it's pretty cool. I'll tell you what. If I had to walk away from life right now, if I was to die tomorrow, I tell you, I couldn't ask for a better life right now. My beautiful girl, my wife, driving the Nextel Cup car. My dad's a NASCAR champion. He's running great. I'm starting to turn things around. I'm just loving life, man.
He'll be in his dad's pit later tonight to watch the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series right here on Speed.
Needs to do something about that iPod, though. It sounded like it was sticking.
John Andretti in the VB A+ Mini Marts, number 14. The first Ford to qualify, 29.60 for John, who also must time his way into the show. He's 10th quickest. Quicker on the second lap, still 10th.
It's pretty hard to predict where any of these guys are going to fall in because the track is so fast and guys are picking up so much that it's hard to make a prediction.
But I think the reason it's fast, we've been talking about it. Look right there, air temperature 51 degrees, but look at the track temperature, 46 degrees at one end, 39 in the other. Not a whole lot of wind, but Darrell, that's more grip. But I also think when you don't have heat in your tires like Kyle Busch, it could be a big problem till you get a little bit of heat in them.
Yeah, because you jack the air pressures up pretty heavily in these tires to qualify, like an extra 10 or 12 in the rights and extra 7 or 8 in the lefts. That makes it a little bit free.
12 top 10s in 13 races for our Nextel Cup point leader and champion Kurt Busch in the Sharpie Ford. This year's finishes 2nd, 3rd, and 3rd. That's the way to start point racing. Great start to the season.
Picking up right where he left off last year. Still got that everything working for him, including the luck.
It was 13th quickest in the final practice this afternoon.
Didn't sound all that optimistic about his qualifying run.
You know, when you think back to the 10 races in the chase last year, this is the only race in those 10 races he did not have a top 10, but he had an engine failure in that race.
Except in there in 9th place, you know, he had every reason not to be too excited about his qualifying run.
Yeah, it's kind of middle of the road.
Now.
Right. 1 victory, 3 top 10s. Here for Kurt Busch. Jeff Green in the Cheerios Spoonful of Stories Dodge. Started 18th, finished 19th here last March. 20th in points after 3 races versus 35th last year after 3 races. Nice turnaround for the Petty team.
But you talk about that Spoonful of Stories. That's a program where after Sunday that they will donate 43 books for each lap that Jeff Green completes on Sunday. If he completes all 325, that's a total of 13,975 books that will be donated to the kids in Atlanta that don't have the privilege to get books and read them. Great program.
To put that in perspective, they're building a new elementary school in our neighborhood, Larry. And at a meeting last week, they said, well, we'd like to have some books for the library when the school opens. And we need to raise about $35,000 to do that.
Books
Yikes.
are not cheap. They are not cheap. Not a real good qualifying run for Jeff Green, and you can see way up the racetrack. I think he'll just abort this second lap, but right now, 14th quickest out of the 16 cars that's qualified. And I know they were very optimistic. They felt like they had a really good test down here a couple of weeks ago.
Couldn't get the car at the bottom. It just looked like he couldn't get it to stay on the bottom of the racetrack, slid up the hill a little bit. I think that probably killed his time.
Not a lot of success all day, Darrell. They were 40-something, 42nd in the final practice. His teammate Kyle Petty was 46th.
But you know, the good news for Petty Enterprises, something we've not seen in several years, is Jeff Green, the 43 car, is 19th in points. Kyle Petty in the 45 is 16th. So these guys sit in pretty good shape in points.
Kyle's only 4 points out of 15th, Larry. And the last time a Petty car was that high up in the point standings was John Andretti in 1999. And he was 12th coming into this race.
Long time ago.
Rusty Wallace, 3 poles, 16 top 10 starts in Atlanta in a career that goes way back to the old format. What is now the front stretch used to be the back stretch here, and this was not a quad oval. It was more of a traditional oval with very short straightaways and long sweeping turns. In fact, Darrell, I guess it probably didn't feel like there was any straightaway at all here.
No, it felt like a big bowl then. It felt like a great big Bristol. Short straightaways were pretty short. Turns were huge, and Rusty is up the hill, and he got his hands full.
Yeah, he was not very good in practice. He was only 40th quickest, and remember this year is Rusty's last call tour, and he made his very first Nextel Cup start here at Atlanta in 1980, finished second to Dale Earnhardt, driving for Roger Penske.
I think that's the ironic thing, that he made his first start here driving for Roger, and he makes his last start here later on this year driving for Roger.
Was that the race where they brought that big old Caprice?
That's exactly what it was.
Had the Caprice.
Gosh, that thing was a brick.
It wasn't that bad. We had one at Digard, and actually was a lot better than people thought it was. At the time, you know, we had all square back cars. Buicks, Monte Carlos, everything had a kind of a weird back end on them, and that car was a little nicer in the rear window area and made it not that bad a car.
I think Rusty will be real happy. He slows down on his second lap. Right now, he's 11th, right behind brother Mike Wallace, who's 10th.
Ryan Newman, Bobby Hamilton Jr., quickest so far. There's the hometown hero. The Red Baron, Ken Schrader, drives his pizza wagon to a 10th quick time, 29:37.
I like that paint job.
Yeah, that's
hot red.
Yeah,
looks
little
good.
flames on it.
I like that, baby.
I like that.
Brand new race car for Kenny and the group.
Makes me want to order a Red Baron pizza.
Bobby Labonte, 6 wins at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Just a fabulous record here. And after the week he had in Las Vegas, he is very glad to be leaving Las Vegas. Getting caught up in the lap 12 wreck between Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Brian Victor.
He was pretty good in practice today as far as a fast lap and also as far as our 10 and 20 lap average. Bobby will also be competing in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race later on tonight on speed.
Car looks really good. Nice and smooth. A little tight off, but I think he's going to get a decent lap out of it.
Tested down here, and he's going to shut her down.
Yeah, much quicker on the second lap, Darrell.
Picked up quite a bit.
4/10 quicker, and it moves him up to 8th on the board, 29:18.
Now that tells you that's a race setup. A race setup ought to be pretty good first lap and really good on the second lap, in my opinion.
2 years ago, he and Jeff Gordon trade a little paint. Trade a little more.
Trade a little more. And it pays off.
I forget how many thousandths of a second that was, but it was close.
Had some of the best finishes, I mean, some of the closest finishes in Cup history right here at Atlanta.
Most wins, most top fives, most laps led. Since this track was reconfigured into a quad oval.
Well, this guy here had a great run at Las Vegas last week. Travis Quaffle in the 77 car. I talked to his crew chief, Shane Wilson. Like, what happened? He said, we just had a set of tires that the car did not like on that last run. And his first lap would be 29:44, only good for 13th quickest.
I think you have to be so careful, Larry, particularly when you're a rookie like Travis is, giving the team information. That's one of those communication things. I'm really, really tight. Well, you know, how tight are you? We need to make a really big change, and you jump over the cushion. You go too far.
Quicker on his second lap. That picks Travis up to 9th. in the Kodak Jasper Dodge. 9th of 20 so far. Of our 15 drivers who must make the show on time, 6 have qualified. Once we get past 7, we'll start bumping drivers locking them into the field. Jimmy Spencer, the quickest of those so far. Here's Dick.
A local hero from Dawsonville, Bill Elliott, has qualified for and participated in 55 Nextel Cup races here in Atlanta, but never one like this, where you qualify at night and then they don't let you touch the car until race day. How close is your setup now compared to what you would have if your mechanics could adjust that car?
Well, I think y'all are going to be first to know Sunday afternoon how this thing ends up. But, I mean, that's what's so weird for me, and I'm sure Darrell can concur with this. You know, we used to come in on Friday and do all our practice getting ready to qualify, and then you come in Saturday morning and you do all your race practice for the race Sunday. And it's so weird getting on this agenda, and it's so different than what you're doing, and it's so uncommon. That's what's so hard, so confusing. When you get here today, you have 2 hours of practice, then you qualify 2 laps, then you race Sunday.
But I bet Bill Elliott's going to have a good qualifying run anyway, because the last 2 times this guy's been here in the spring, he's qualified on the pole and second.
But I'm just like Bill. I mean, I would have a hard time adjusting to this format, particularly this weekend. Drivers get comfortable on a racetrack, and you need laps to do that. And the last time you're going to see that race car until Sunday when the race starts is tonight when you get out of it.
How about Carl Edwards? 3rd last week, 3rd on the board, 2nd lap just a tick slower. But the Scott's number 99, 3rd fastest.
So he backed up that fastest lap in the final practice. Remember, he was awfully good on those long runs as well.
Someday we're going to look and see if he has done more in less starts than anybody we can remember. Look at those numbers. Pretty slick. NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from Atlanta Motor Speedway, brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR, proud sponsors of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the number 8 car. Jeff Gordon, Elliott Sadler. I'm just sure that joke is not about racing.
They're not talking about racing, I promise you.
You think they might be talking about the Super Bowl you guys attended?
They're talking about something besides race cars, I guarantee you that. But they're talking about going fast, whatever it is.
Here's the brawny Georgia Pacific Dodge. Home race for the sponsor of Kyle Petty. 29.95 first lap.
As we said, Kyle 16th in points, 4 points out of 15th. And Larry, I think it's kind of interesting, his strategy this year. We were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, every race he has led a lap. Now, he has stayed out under caution, but you know what? Three races, that's 15 points. That could be huge just to try to get in the chase as well as stay in the top 35. But just something going on with the Petty cars here, because he's right there with his teammate, Jeff Green. And both of them almost ran identical times. So a little bit of struggling going on here.
Yeah, they're only 3/100ths of a second apart, Petty and Jeff Green. So Dick Berggren, what was so funny?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to ask Jeff Gordon. What was so funny when you and Elliott were going at it?
Huh?
What was What were you and Elliott going through?
Racing talk.
Busted.
We were talking.
Really was.
There you go. Serious
Busted.
racing talk. Yeah, we're just talking about, you know, getting loose and how the cars are handling and all that good stuff. See you.
Yeah, so how's your car handling?
It's loose. Hey, what were we talking about?
Racing.
Yeah, I told you. Yeah, getting loose.
How's your car?
That if I get loose in front of him, he will spin me out, is what he said.
This is time trials, guys.
I don't know what he's talking about. I never said that. No, but you know, we're definitely a little bit loose tonight. You know, I'm hoping the grip level that we're seeing right now is going to help us out a little bit. But you know, I think we're going to be real good in the race. Of course, everybody says that when you're impounding the cars.
Yeah, but you usually are.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. I like this racetrack. Great racetrack. Never really saw the groove move up the racetrack to the wall, and that's the way I like to run here. So lots going to change on Sunday for the DuPont team.
Guess who got his first win right here at Atlanta Speedway? Darrell Waltrip.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Darrell Waltrip?
No.
Oh. I got my first, the Busch win. Yeah. Oh, hey, I was talking about that the other day. You know, Rick Hendrick was standing on somewhere over there on turn 3 and saw me, you know, driving that car that day and win that race. And was shortly after that he called me and asked me if I wanted to drive his race car, if I was available to drive his race car.
And you were?
So not really at the time.
No, he wasn't.
I was, but I wasn't.
Yeah, you could make it, couldn't you?
For Rick Hendrick and his organization, you make a lot of things happen.
Boy, has there been some history since. Mike?
Yeah, I'm going to say in a small way it's worked out pretty good.
Yeah, and that was in the Baby Ruth car that he was driving for Bill Davis in the Busch Series at the time.
Scott Wimmer, 29.48. That'll place him 16th. He is safely in the field as he completes his run in the Cat Dodge. We'll check with Matt.
Carl Edwards turned in the third fastest time. Now I sensed a little bit of disappointment when you got out of that car.
I couldn't be any more disappointed. This is way worse than a flat tire at Vegas. I don't know what it looked like on the Fox tracker thing, but that felt like a pole all the way until I got to turn 3, and I just got greedy down there. Oh, I wish I'd have been that much more conservative. That would have been a great lap, I think. So the guys did great. The Scott's car is really good, but I hate missing it like that.
But after the run you had here last fall, you have to be really jacked up about coming back here.
Yeah, I wish the race was starting right now. We get 500 miles to run this car, and it's a good car, but yeah, I'm so disappointed in myself when I do things like that. I hate it, but I guess if I was about that much more, conservative or scared or something, I would have been all right, but that's all right.
Well, if he stays third, he's going to be happier than 47 other guys here.
He is, and did you notice, how cool it is out there? You saw the steam coming out of his mouth there. That's how cool it is out there right now.
Sterling Marlin in the Coors Light car, the 40 car, first lap not too good, 29.92. That's only 20th quickest. And I was reading this week, and I didn't realize this. Of course, he was hurt for a good part of that season, but it's been 99 races since Sterling won a race back in March of 2002 at Darlington.
19th with a 29.78 for Sterling Marlin. They're all chasing Ryan Newman. Nothing new about that. Bobby Hamilton Jr. second quickest. Michael Waltrip, 18 quickest, 29.67 for the Napa Chevrolet.
Car just didn't look like it wanted to stay down. It didn't look like it was in the racetrack at all.
He and Dale Earnhardt Jr. both struggled in practice this afternoon.
Now it brings out the hometown favorite, driving Ray Evernham Dodge in Vistion colors, Bill Elliott from Dawsonville.
I guarantee you one thing. Bill will be on the gas.
Now Elliott's in the race. He has the champion's provisional if needed, but he'd, of course, rather be one of those 8 cars that makes it on time, and he was fast in practice.
I believe he will be 9th quickest for Bill, 29.17.
This is Bill's home track. You know, the only time they ever ran the Winston anywhere other than Charlotte was here. You know why they never came back?
Bill Elliott.
Bill Elliott show. He lapped everybody but about the 2nd or 3rd place car.
There's his record here. 5 poles, 13 top 5s. Of course, Ryan Newman could tie that pole winning record if this holds up. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, last fall, there were 3 races here. There was a Cup race, an IROC race, and a Busch race. And Matt Kenseth won 2 out of those 3. The IROC race, the Busch race. Glad to be back.
Yeah, I really love coming here to Atlanta, but before we get too far, I just want to make sure, I was watching TV earlier, and I wanted to make sure you weren't going to try to talk me into running wide open around here like you tried to try Kyle into it.
No, I'm not going to even mention it to you.
Okay, all right, good, because I'm not going to try it, so I saw you couldn't make it. But anyway, yeah, this is a great track. It's a lot of fun. We really worked on race setup a lot today. This is a brand new car for us, and didn't even do a mock-up qualifying run, so I don't really know what we're going to have for qualifying, but I think we got a pretty good car for Sunday.
Doesn't matter where you qualify anyway. He always finishes well, doesn't he, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Always runs well here.
So is this guy.
Yes.
He's got, in the last 10 races here, he's got 7 top 5s, including 1 victory.
4 top 10 starts, including a best of 3rd, his first time here. 7th on his first lap. Tony Stewart,
pretty good lap.
Chevy.
You see right there, we've seen a lot of guys completely out of the throttle. Tony only pulled back to about 50% in the middle of the corner, and that's speed. That's miles per hour.
Yeah, that's it's kind of old dirt track trick, you know, where you never quite get all the way out of it.
He almost mirrored his first lap with lap 2. Right now he's 7th quickest.
So far this year, 2 top 10s, led the most laps in the Daytona 500. has led the second most laps this season, solidly in the top 10 in points.
I think the most impressive thing, though, is he has been in the top 10 in points for 48 consecutive weeks.
Wow.
That's a long time.
That is that leads all drivers among active streaks.
It's back to Dover in September of '03.
But you're right, not making a lot of noise, just solid each week.
Elliott Sadler rebound
got on this car this week.
Combos like pretzel snacks. They're good.
And DW, this is another one of those John McKenzie Motorsports Designer race wrap. Talked to Todd Parrott, brand new race car. They painted it the M&M colors, and then John and his group came down and wrapped it. Takes them about 3 hours.
I like that. You know, with the multi-car teams, you could have one backup car for 3 or 4 teams.
And I think the Ganassi team does.
They can just pull it out, wrap it in a couple hours, and send it on its way.
One and done, 29:04.
And
he was
thinking like paint.
He was thinking about that second lap, but it just couldn't quite get there in the middle of 1 and 2.
So Sadler is 8th fastest. Here's Dick.
With Happy Harvick, new crew chief Scott Miller taking over from Todd Barrier for this weekend. How will it affect your plans for Sunday?
Well, I don't think it'll really affect our plans. You know, as far as the way we go about things, Scott's been around week in and week out for the last years, a little over a year. So as far as that's concerned, I don't think it'll affect anything. But the car's been pretty loose since we've been here. We've struggled with it, so we changed about half of everything underneath it, and should be hopefully better for tomorrow. But don't know what it's going to do tonight. We'll find out here in a minute.
And he also said he's not going to run wide open all the way around either, Mike.
You're not going to talk me into running it wide open. I saw what that results in.
His crew chief Todd Barrier is on vacation for race suspension for unapproved modifications to the fueling system in qualifying. He has appealed the suspension, the severity of the fine, but he has begun to serve the suspension.
I wonder if he's got one of those things like Martha Stewart has.
An ankle bracelet
thing, so they could track him and be sure, you know, where he is.
I wonder if he got a nice shawl to go with it, like
no, they didn't get the parting gifts, I promise.
But to me, that big deal is you can't put a price on 25 driver and owner points. Now, we need to mention, you saw the 2-race suspension on Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson's crew chief, and Alan Gustafson, Kyle Busch's crew chief. They are appealing theirs as well, but they are here this weekend, and their appeal will be heard this Tuesday by the board.
That's one thing I didn't understand about Barrier. I mean, it's like they're self-imposing the penalty on him before it's really come down.
Well, Darrell, I read the rule book on this as Hermie Sadler in the Peak Fitness Ford makes his qualifying run. You may appeal the decision of the NASCAR Series Director John Darby. In your appeal, you may also ask to have the suspension stayed until the appeal is heard. Knaus and Gustafson chose to do so. Apparently, Barrier did not. Roxborough, North Carolina's Carl Long, the Buyer's Choice Auto Warranty Chevrolet 3001. That is 27th quickest, and that will bump Jimmy Spencer into the field. Spencer was locked in, as is Bill Elliott. Elliott 11th on the board, Spencer 14th right now. Brings out Scott Riggs, whose qualifying so far this season has been impeccable. They haven't had quite as good luck with their race runs, but they've been very competitive.
And this car right here, Scott Riggs, the Valvoline 10 car, they missed the show here in the fall, as well as Scott Rimmerman 22. And I believe with all my heart, even though NASCAR was looking at it, that's what promoted the fact of locking the top 35 in points in the show, taking care of the teams, the sponsors that are here week in and week out supporting the sport.
13th, 29-20 for Riggs on his first lap. Second one on the Fox tracker looked a bit better.
Listen, that's a great lap when you realize he didn't make the race here last fall.
Yes.
So, I mean, he's sighing a sigh of relief right now.
Yeah, even though they knew they were in the show, they missed the show in the fall, they came down here and did a one-day test just to confirm that they were going to run as good here as it appears they have everywhere else here in 2005.
Second lap, half a tenth better, moves Riggs up to 11th with a 29.15. Well, Darrell, let's see if we can get your question answered on Todd Barrier. Here's Dick Bergman.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely going to get the answer now, because this is Richard Childress. He owns the car, and we're wondering why Todd Barrier began to serve his sentence this week rather than appealing his, well, vacation.
Yeah, well, we've done appeal, and our deal is on the 28th. But I've been through a lot of those appeals. They're not going to just throw out all of the suspensions. We just feel that we got to a severe penalty. We started in the rear, points, 4 weeks, everything, and it was during qualifying. So we appealed it. We'd rather start it now and try to get some knocked off if we can at the end.
So this is a little like Martha Stewart. Go pay the price and then try the appeal.
Yeah, we're going to do it, and we'll try the appeal, and hopefully that they'll see that it was a little severe to do 4 weeks and start in the rear and all the other stuff. You ain't got time for me to tell you the whole fact.
No ankle bracelet, though.
No, not yet, anyway.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Dick, for clearing that up. Here's a former Childress crew chief, Kurt Shelmerdine, trying to run his Freddie B's number 27.
Won a lot of races here at Atlanta, sitting on top of that pit box, calling the race for Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Dale won 9 here. Kurt had to been involved in, what, 6 or 7 of them
Good
anyway.
many of them.
And his lap of 30.12 will lock Mike Wallace into the field. Wallace is 18th. Shelmerdine right now is 29th.
Tell you, Kurt Shelmerdine, he's a prime example of determination. He does not give up. He enjoys racing, and you got to give him credit for continuing to try every week.
I think it shows what you can do, Larry, with a little. Because Kurt is willing to, he does a lot of the work himself. Obviously a former crew chief, he knows how to build the cars and set them up and everything else, and he is one of the key members of that team. And it's like we were 20 years ago when the driver was a teammate. He was a crew member. He drove the truck, he built the car, did whatever he had to do.
Jeff Gordon, since this track was reconfigured, 3 wins, 10 top 10s, and a whole lot of laps led.
He was 16th quickest in that final practice. This car here, this is the first time it's been raced this year, but it won Fontana last year. Not too solid of a qualifying lap right here.
That doesn't surprise me. You know, Jeff really is not always that great a qualifier. I mean, you look at his qualifying efforts, sometimes it's mid-pack.
Yeah, in fact, one of his crew members told me today, he said, you know what, we're just going to really focus on the race setup because we never qualify good at Atlanta.
All right.
But I bet you when they drop that green flag, he will be coming.
Well, they didn't qualify bad. 29-29 is good for 17th.
Team been awfully solid, of course, winning the Daytona 500, finished 4th last week, and was probably going to finish in the top 2, 3, or 4 at Fontana, and had the engine problems out there the second race of the year. He's going to go ahead and take lap 2. Slows down just a little bit, so right now Jeff will be 17th quickest.
33 of 50 drivers have had their turn at the clock, not including fellows like Jimmy Johnson, last week's winner. This is Kevin LePage in the Newell Recycling Dodge, the 37th. And his lap of 29.38 is good enough. He has just timed his way into the race for Sunday.
Picked it up 2/10 on that second lap. And his first lap just barely put him close, but then that put him on into the race. So he's good to go. And I think Dick's with a man that's probably foaming at the mouth waiting to go out there and qualify.
Yeah, I bet he is. Jimmy Johnson was really quick in practice, 3rd and 5th in the practice sessions. You got a shot to knock that 12 car off the pole?
I definitely think so. My Los Monte Carlo's been really fast. I think so. I'm going to close my eyes for at least part of the corner and see if it sticks and go for it. But our car's been really good. I'm not typically the best qualifier. You know, I usually come on and we usually have our car right from midway point of the race on, and that's all we're really wanting is trophies. Pole would be nice, but we're after the trophy.
The big win, then the big penalty. What's the mood on the team tonight?
Hey, our spirits are up. I mean, we have an appeal coming up. We're going to plead our case. We honestly feel it's with the history of the appeal process, that we're probably not going to have it overturned. But we know in our hearts what our race car was about. We've told everybody what happened, and we won with a car that had a low spoiler. So we're pretty proud of that. We're going to move forward. If we lose Chad for 2 races, he's been training these guys to get the job done, to understand their race cars, and we'll be in good shape. We're going to miss him, but I think we'll still be fine.
You drove a beautiful race last week. You really did. Mike?
Matt Kenseth with a new paint job. Trex decking. taking up the prime spot on that Jack Roush Ford, and the 2003 champ is 24th.
This is going to make him really happy. Oh, I guarantee you. He's been qualifying up in the top 10 or 12 and been not running all that well. And this is about where he used to qualify in the last couple of years and run really well in the race, right around that 17th spot.
Yep.
Picked up quite a bit on that second lap.
Yes, moved all the way to 16th on the board. This year being the 20th anniversary of GM Goodwrench's sponsorship of NASCAR, they've gone back to some of their retro paint schemes. We'll show you that one in a second, as here is Harvick's record here. Kind of difficult in 2004, but this track will always be special to Kevin Harvick. Driving a car painted much like the one he's racing tonight on March 11, 2001, in only his third Winston Cup start. He holds off a determined Jeff Gordon to win here at Atlanta in the wake of the death of Dale Earnhardt. Here's a look at the top 10 so far after 36 of 50 drivers have made their qualifying run. Dodge with Ryan Newman right now owns the pole. It would be his 5th straight if it holds up. Robbie Gordon. Bad luck last week. Engine trouble at Las Vegas. In fact, engine failure in both of his 2005 starts in this Harris Chevrolet. And it's got a lot of bounce in it.
But he will race on Sunday, because right now he's the 3rd quickest car of those cars that has to qualify. Yeah, they've had a lot of engine woes. He told me this morning, he said Menards building engine, they never quit working. In fact, they did not get the engine for this car until they flew it down on a plane at 4:30 yesterday afternoon.
Well, a new engine program is a tough thing to get started and to overcome the problems that you can have. I don't care who you are, how much money you got, to step up to this level and try to compete, you better hang on.
The drivers who have locked into the field by time are Bill Elliott, Jimmy Spencer, Robbie Gordon, Kevin LePage, and Mike Wallace so far.
There's a guy I wouldn't totally count out of shaking them up at the top.
Greg Biffle in the Post-it Ford, the California winner, 3rd in the points with the 3rd most laps led.
And the thing about it, you see 3rd in the points after Daytona, he was 24th in points, so he's went from 24th to 3rd in just 2 races, and he was pretty quick in practice earlier, 6th quickest.
And he qualified 5th here last October.
About where he is now, I think.
Good top 5 qualifying run here, 5th quickest, 28.98. Another one of those drivers not coming completely out of the throttle, but I think he decided I'm out of it now.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Didn't come out a while ago, but I am now.
38 drivers done, 12 to go. John Andretti on the hot seat, 1 spot away from making the show. Mike Garvey is in the show in the KGB Janiking Dodge 2951. What's KGB?
It's swimwear, I think, for like teenage girls, but this will be the first Nextel Cup show that this group has made. And how about Shane Mill in this 08 car? Todd Bryan Motorsports that he drives for in the Busch Series, they're 16th quickest. Old Frank Kerr is crew chief. They got this old car strolling.
I was totally confused about wind fuel. I thought it was some kind of gasoline deal, you know.
Well, you're right. There's a program for heating oil dealers called Wind Fuel, but that's not this.
No. This is Trim Spa for Men, some kind of program.
And Darrell, you know the irony about this, and I don't want to keep beating DEI up right now because, you know, we've talked about it last week in the pre-race show, but that car has DEI motors. So they're showing that maybe the problem DEI is facing is not under the hood necessarily.
Yeah, I'm thinking, of course, Dale Jr. hadn't gone yet, but I'd like to be over there for Shane.
Ricky Rudd for the brothers, the Motorcraft here for 25th with a 29.44. And to take you back to David Pearson's streak of 11 straight poles, the only reason I think that Pearson ended that streak at 11 was he left the Wood Brothers, because the next driver in the Wood Brothers, number 21, Neil Bonnet, came back to Charlotte and won the pole. The Woods won 13 straight poles at what is all over.
They had it figured out. Like you said, what made it even more phenomenal was most of those 25th quickest right now. Fat back McClain. Michael McClain is back after recovering from back surgery this week.
Bad back McClain?
Fat back McClain.
Here's Matt.
Bill posted the 5th fastest time. You start to see some campfire smoke roll in. How much of a distraction is that?
It kind of a little bit of a distraction, believe it or not. Look out here, and it doesn't look like much, but at 90, you know, it kind of looks a little hazy when you're going down the corner. And, you know, you got to focus on some marks to get the attitude of the race car correct. And, you know, sitting in my motor and watching Kyle Busch back it pretty hard over there. And I didn't do that. It was a good race car, and got myself 5th place run there in the first lap. Thought I could get more out of it, but just didn't really feel like pushing. I'm hungry and getting ready to go eat some dinner, so I figured I'd just let it happen in the race.
He's 5th quick right now. There's a contender for the pole on the racetrack, Mike.
Last week's winner, the Lowe's Chevrolet of Jimmy Johnson. 4 top 10 starts here and a win.
Tell you one thing, he's holding a pretty wheel right now.
You see right there a little bit of bottoming out. Again, these cars are traveling so much because the speeds are up from practice. I guarantee you Ryan Newman's watching this qualifying run. 4th quickest for Jimmy, 28.87. So right now he's about 4/10 off the pole speed that Ryan Newman has right now. This is the same car he won with here in the fall, as well as both races at Lowe's Motor Speedway last year.
Might pick up a little on this run. Right now, Hamilton is the quickest Chevrolet at a 28.60.
Yeah, actually, I think he will pick up because he's bottoming out more. Almost like he's driving it harder this lap.
But down there in turn 3 and 4, Darrell, he wasn't even half out of the throttle, but he jumps to 3rd quickest, 28.69. So he picks up 2/10 on that second lap.
42 drivers have gone, and still John Andretti sits on the hot seat. Jeff Burton in the Richard Childress singular wireless Chevy. First lap at 29.75. 33rd quickest for Jeff, who did a little bit of meteorological prognosis. God, I can't even say it. He was on the Weather Channel yesterday morning at 8 o'clock.
He was on there, and I'm very envious of Jeff Burton. As you well know, I follow the Weather Channel closely, but I don't think he's going to be very happy with this qualifying run. As you said, 33rd on the first lap. Picks it up just a little bit, but does not pick up a position.
How many tapes of the Weather Channel do you have in your library?
Boy, probably more Weather Channel tapes than I do racing tapes.
That's
almost
what I'm thinking. Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
7 drivers left to go, and the going home list is almost complete as Jimmy Johnson gets set to climb out. Drivers who will miss the show include Morgan Shepherd, Hermie Sadler, Kirk Shelmerdine, Carl Long, Stanton Barrett, and Randy LaJoie. The final spot is between John Andretti and Jason Leffler, who has yet to go, but who was quick in practice.
Speaking of Jason Leffler, Jason's on the racetrack right now in the FedEx number 11 car.
This car's been pretty fast every week.
And he was 3rd quickest in practice, and right now, about halfway through this qualifying lap, right now, John Andretti in the 14 car will be in trouble. They test Jason Leffler. They tested down here. This is the same car. Did not run that well at Fontana a few weeks ago. Had an engine failure. So they were not running that good. It's going to be a good lap for Jason. So this will put Jason in the show and send John Andretti, the 14 team, home. In fact, Jason's 12th quickest.
And he is the fastest of the drivers who had to race their way into the show, as we expected from the practice times. What this team really needs, however, is some good finishes. If the qualifying exemption, the top 35, was set on points today, he and his teammate Bobby Labonte would be among those on the outside looking in.
And what makes it tough on teams like John Andretti, who they're trying to get into the top 35 by the end of 5 races, but when you miss a show, that just hurts your chances of getting in the top 35. So it's a tough two-edged sword.
Jason Leffler climbs to 10th on his second lap. Here's Matt.
A big second lap for Jimmy Johnson. So did you feel that thing bottoming out a lot like it was?
Yeah, the first lap, you know, it started touching coming to the green, and it alarmed me some, and I was afraid of what it would do in turns 1 and 2. And so each corner I made, it was dragging and dragging, but nothing happened. So I just kept pushing harder and harder. If I knew what I know now then, if that made any sense,
I'm following you.
I would do the first lap all over again and just blitz it and drag, and it wouldn't bother me. But I was worried it was going to spin me out from dragging the frame so bad. But obviously the car's soft. You need that in the race. This new package for impounding the cars, I think, will help me get more poles. I like a race setup, and if we've got a qualifier race setups, I think I stand a chance of getting some red hats.
Very impressive lap. Currently third quick.
Now just 2/10 off Ryan Newman's pole and less than a 10th off Bobby Hamilton Jr. Here's Dale Jarrett in the UPS Ford. Got his third straight top 20 finish last week, and he's 11th in the standings. He was 22nd after 3 races last year.
He's been pretty solid in qualifying, but it's not going to be solid here because right now he's just 38th quickest.
Thing looks slow. I mean, and he's out of the throttle and he's fighting with the wheel. Just very unhappy.
He was 29th quickest in practice earlier. This is a brand new car.
Let's tell you right there, Larry. He's out, all the way out. That's just not going to make for a very fast lap time.
Yeah, it hurts your corner speed, and then it hurts your straightaway speed. Because the straightaways start way back in the middle of the corners here.
Picks it up.
A skosh.
32nd, 29.59. There's a look at DJ's record at Atlanta. Still to go, Mayfield, Mears, Martin, Earnhardt, and Blaney. The Friday night fireworks continue next right here on Speed, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. And then stay tuned tonight for Trackside when Ryan Newman will tell you why he had those sunglasses on at Las Vegas. Saturday, push pole qualifying, noon, live from Atlanta. And Sunday, NASCAR this morning.
Larry, that trackside will keep me up late tonight.
Oh, well, you can sleep in a little bit in the morning because the cars are impounded.
That's right. I don't have to worry about my car, do I?
Neil Goldberg changed our production meeting, too. Helped a little bit.
Yeah, so the rest of the staff is watching. It's now 11 a.m. on headsets. That was an unpaid political announcement.
But well worth it.
Jeremy Mayfield, yeah, saves a lot of phone calls later. 29.08 on his first lap, 13th.
Looking quite a bit better on his second lap if he can get through 3 and 4. Picks that throttle up, stays in it, sliding back a little bit. Lost a lot of ground there coming off turn 4, but this will be a good qualifying run for Jeremy.
You know, we've seen several drivers almost mirror their qualifying laps. Back in 1964 here, when the drivers like at Charlotte had to make a timed 4-lap run, A.J. Foyt turned in 3 consecutive laps that were identical. 3 in a row, exact same time, because now we only run 2 laps of qualifying. That's a record that'll never be broken.
And what's amazing, Jeremy Mayfield just basically did it within 2 100ths. And remember, this is around a 1.5 mile racetrack, averaging well over 190 miles per hour.
You know who won they had the first race here in 1960. You know who won that first race?
Fireball was on the pole.
Fireball won it.
Did he win it?
Yeah, in 1960. It was a 300-miler then. They came back in the fall and had a 500-miler. You know who won that one? Another Floridian. I'm waiting. No. I give you a chance.
Leroy?
Bobby Johns.
Oh, okay. Great. Fireball's pole speed that year, 133 miles an hour.
My.
Things were different.
A little different look here on this 41 car. Casey Mears has the Nicorette Fresh Mint Gum. That would be the first quit smoking product ever in NASCAR, I would say.
Good looking paint job, though. I like that Starburst or Sunburst or whatever that is.
Pretty good looking qualifying run. 14th quickest for Casey.
29.11.
Oh, hot rod's usually pretty fast. Whoa, baby. That might get your attention.
He had a great run in this race a year ago, led a bunch of laps and had the engine give up on him with just a handful of laps to go, but had a great race all day long. It's almost like where they somewhat turned their season around early in the year last year.
Well, his best start this year was 15th at Las Vegas. He may beat that by 1 spot, depending on what happens here with Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Dave Blaney.
Mark was fast, you know. I wouldn't surprise me to see Mark right up there in the top 3 or 4.
We'll know here in a second.
You hear him, you got to leave pit road just like you're trying to tear the thing up. You got to wind it up in every gear, and you got to haul it off in turn 3.
2 wins, 18 top 10s here. Started 7th here last October. Finished 2nd after leading 227 laps. He's never won the spring race here. He's twice won here in the fall.
Like the way it looked coming to get the green. Everything was really smooth.
Second fastest in practice with a 29.47.
We're one of the first cars I've seen use just a little bit of brake right there. You saw it come on just a little bit down in 1 and 2. We've not seen that very much.
Left foot breakers do that, Larry. You ride with your foot on the brake, even though it's might touch it. You're not really applying any brake. You just got your foot laying up there. I know Mark's a left foot breaker.
It's getting faster as this lap goes. You can see the tracker moving down just a little bit.
Yeah, that's. I thought he'd be better than that.
15th, 29.12.
Of course, it's bobbling. You know, you just saw it bobbling out there, and that gets the car wiggling through the turn, and it takes all your confidence away.
We saw Mark last week at Las Vegas have some engine problems. They went to the garage and worked on it. He came back out and finished 30th. I talked to his crew chief, Pat Trison. I said, what happened to your motor? Because you were able to still nurse it home. He said, I've never seen it in my life. One of the vent tubes fell out of the carburetor, went down through the engine, and broke the head off of a valve, but the head of the valve stuck in the cylinder head, didn't cause any more damage. That's the reason they were able to finish the race.
12th for Mark Martin, 29.05. That big cheer you hear from the crowd is either for Mark's run or for the young man who's next.
I think the latter.
I wanted to build a little drama and suspense here.
I mean, Mark's run was a good run, and Mark's a great guy. But when this car comes on the racetrack, hello.
I would say it's that red Budweiser car right there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the number 8 car. Not too good in practice now. Only 43rd quickest in the final practice. Listen to this crowd. Look at this crowd.
None of them were here for practice.
Exactly.
I mean, big crowd here for Georgia Power qualifying night and for the Craftsman Truck Race later.
Daryl, this lap's going to be terrible. The car was running up the racetrack. He was having to play with the throttle, get out of the throttle.
Almost,
I mean, you just watch the backstretch speed here, how much it probably hurt that. 191. Remember, we've seen some 196, 197 at the end of the backstretch.
Obviously, the second lap should be better, but that first lap, he almost had to abort down there in turn 1.
42nd, right about where he practiced.
Still out of the throttle an awfully long time. You see him playing with it right there. He was almost all the way up on the straightaway. Look how loose the car got.
The car's all over the place, driving terrible. Wouldn't matter how fast it is, if it's going to drive that way, you're not going to get a good lap out of it.
So far, the DEI powered cars, Shane Meal is 21st, and whoa, Michael Waltrip 37th. Junior's second lap is quicker, picks him up to 36th.
He just wanted, you know what, he probably said, I wish I knew he didn't want to wreck it, but the way it's driving, he probably feels like if he did, it wouldn't make him mad.
A far cry from 1 year ago. We're here at the spring race in Atlanta. Drove under Jeremy Mayfield.
But just remember, think about Daytona. He and Michael both qualified really poorly at Daytona, but when they dropped the green flag, those two cars were at the front.
A victory last year and a struggle tonight to qualify. Junior's 36th.
The problem is, I mean, he's got to drive that car. They can't work on it. It's like just what you saw is what you got. And that would be keeping me up for a couple of nights.
That would be awfully scary. Well, I think Ryan Newman, he only has to wait one more car. Final car's out on the racetrack. Dave Blaney in the 07 car.
Another Richard Childress car carrying Snap-on tools this week on the 07.
Yeah, I was reading where Snap-on has been in racing in some capacity for over 70 years. They've had a long affiliation with Richard Childress Racing. And Dave's 11-year-old son, Ryan, in the morning with my son, Brandon, they'll be racing here on the quarter mile in the Bandolero and Legend races in the morning. Looking forward to that. It's another reason I'm glad Neil moved that meeting.
It's all kind of good reasons. Yeah, I knew we'd think of some.
First lap for Blaney, 31st at a 29.42. His teammate Kevin Harvick is 38th and Jeff Burton is 40th. So Blaney will be the fastest of the 3 Childress cars.
Well, this lap's going to be a little better. This could be his best qualifying effort of 2005. It is because he's 27th, and before that, his best was 29th at Las Vegas last week.
So the field is set. for the Golden Corral 500 that you'll see on Fox Sunday. And here is your front row. We'll be right back. Speed Channel coverage of NASCAR Bud Pole qualifying from Atlanta is brought to you by Win Fuel. It's all about winning. And Polaris ATV, the world's toughest ATV. 29th career pole tonight for Ryan Newman. Ties him with Ricky Rudd for 22nd on the all-time pole rankings. He hasn't been around that long. Here's our Win Fuel winning moment.
We went 194 mile an hour. The track record's 197, so that's not too far off.
6 tries to qualify at Atlanta, 5 poles, 1 outside pole. Wow. Dick Berger.
It's just such an amazing record. 29 times you've won the pole, 5 in a row here. How do you do it?
Just teamwork. I've always said that. I got to thank everybody at Penske Racing, especially the engine company. Just a lot of hard work went into it. The guys back at the shop, fab shop, body shop, everybody. And you know, it's all about teamwork, getting the car to go fast. And Matt and the guys, Michael Nelson, the engineer, have done a great job. And I'm the lucky guy that gets to push the pedals.
Over the wintertime, some of the fans were saying with this new procedure where the cars are impounded and you don't get to do these fancy qualifying setups, that Ryan Newman's days of winning a lot of poles were going to be over. Did you ever doubt yourself, your team?
Never doubted. I mean, we proved them wrong today, but I think the bottom line is the rules are the same for everybody, and you know, it's all about how you can, you know, max everything out as far as getting as much as you can for speed in the car. And you know, I'm pretty confident we're going to have a good car on Sunday for the race and race trim. And you know, with the whole impound procedure, you know, that was a question mark. So I think we'll see the best of both worlds maybe this weekend.
Now you got tomorrow off. What are you going to do?
I'm going fishing, man. I need a little relaxation, anti-stress.
Well, of course you're going to watch the Busch race, aren't you?
I don't know. We'll see how the fishing is.
Okay, you can watch it on a replay. Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you.
Ryan has the first pole for a Dodge Charger at Atlanta since Richard Petty in 1977. Here's a look at our right guard starting grid.
Last time a Dodge won here was 1977 with Richard Petty. I guess must have been the same race.
I'm going to tell you what, that's such a good run for Bobby Hamilton Jr., Cal Wells, Harold Holly. Good finish last week at Las Vegas, and they brought that momentum right here to Atlanta.
And Carl Edwards, nice surprise at 4th. I guess it shouldn't be a surprise anymore. There's your top 20. Atlanta expert Bobby Labonte there in 19. Bill Elliott, the hometown favorite, in 18. Shane Meal, good run.
Real good run for Shane, and Jimmy Spencer had to get in on time and did.
And the great thing about this race is if you were able to make one of the top 43 positions and be in this race, and the thing about it, you can race, you can pass, you can run up high, you can run down low, so, you know, it's good racing.
Matt?
Caught up with Dale Earnhardt Jr. You were loose in practice earlier today. Is that what it was like on your qualifying run, Junior, starting 37th?
Yeah, we're pretty loose. We were, you know, we've never really been that good here in practice and qualifying, but I was a little too loose right there. A little more loose, way looser than I wanted to be. I don't know, you know, what them guys are doing to get their cars comfortable, but we just got to go to the racetrack and figure it out. You know, we got to start putting in some hours of testing stuff. But we ran some race stuff this morning, and the car was all right. I mean, I'm not real fast. Again, on new tires, we're not real fast, but long run stuff, we're right there with them. So that's how we always do it here. Maybe we'll come up through there about lap 60, and we'll be in the top 10, top 5 there.
Well, mark it on your calendar, lap 60. He hopes to be in the top 10 on Sunday. He rolls off 37th.
Thanks, Matt. Tough day for the DEI pair. He and Michael Waltrip back there in 37th and 39th. Coverage continues next. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series lives on speed. You'll want to see them spark under the lights as Friday night fireworks continue. Tomorrow, Busch Series qualifying right here on Speed, and the Aaron's 312 Busch race is over on FX. Sunday, it's NASCAR This Morning here on Speed. And on Fox, the Golden Corral 500 presented by M3 Power. And NASCAR Victory Lane ended up.
And Darrell, the thing I would be a little nervous about if my car was loose tonight, I know the race is a different thing. A lot of these guys made race runs, but you're going to be running off in the corner over 190 miles per hour side by side with that little 4.5-inch tall rear spoiler.
Oh, I think this whole weekend is a real experiment. The whole deal is the package they got on the cars and the procedure that you're using. This is a test right here, boys.
Ryan Newman, Bobby Hamilton Jr. win the front row for Sunday. Coming up next, Friday night fireworks continue with the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Stay right here on Speed.